Here are some authors who don't get enough attention here on Book Talk. First, we have Isak Dinesen. Her real name was Karen Blixen. She's a Danish writer and a really darn good one at that. She famously wrote Out of Africa, which gained her lots of acclaim. She was really teetering on the edge of getting a Nobel Prize in literature, but apparently at the time of her writing, a lot of Scandinavians had already gotten Nobel Prizes in literature at that time, so she was kind of left out. Nevertheless, her work is excellent. This is some of her last tales, some short stories she wrote as her final publications. She's a really smart writer. She really has a knack for building momentum and using the vehicle of dialogue to progress a story and to provide a framework. Karen Blixen or Isak Dinesen is a phenomenal choice if you're wanting to break into Scandinavian literature. Next, we have ultra obscure Alberto Savinho. This one actually, part of the reason I bought it was because it was translated by Richard Pevier. He also translated my edition of Brothers Karamazov, so I figured if he had his hand in the mix, it must be pretty good work. And it was. It's subtle and wonderful. I think he would put himself into the camp of sort of modern surrealist or magical realism type of literature. I believe he originally wrote in Greek, but it might have been Italian. And his brother, actually, you can look him up, I can't remember his name, is a really, really famous painter who has some crazy, wacky works. So there's just a lot of talent in that particular family. And in reading through his material, I found it to be really good, really subtle. It has sort of the sentence-by-sentence smoothness that maybe a Chekhov might have. He's certainly not in the camp of Chekhov in terms of quality, but he is a really good and perhaps underrated writer worth checking out. Next up, we have James Baldwin. There are some book talkers who have covered him, and rightfully so, but I feel like he just doesn't get the praise that he deserves. If you've spent any amount of time reading classic literature, reading high-quality books, and you begin a novel by James Baldwin, you realize really quickly you are in the hands of a master. You're in the hands of a virtuoso. He will carry you along through a story and dazzle you in a way that, frankly, few authors ever have. When I think about 20th century American authors who just had a command of the language, a dynamic point of view, James Baldwin comes into mind as like a top fiver. He's absolutely terrific. Go Tell It on the Mountain is beautiful. I've talked about Alice Munro, but I feel like few have. She's a Canadian short story writer who's, frankly, as powerful as Chekhov, in my opinion. She won the daggone Nobel Prize in Literature, so she's got something going for her. She's really good. I think her story, The Bear Came Over the Mountain, or something like that, is kind of her masterpiece, in my opinion. But she has a number of works where she explores the dysfunction of everyday life and the crazy dynamics of mundane families. Alice Munro is wonderful. She's got a bunch of collections. They're all branded alike, usually in bookstores, so you can find her work pretty readily. Next up, we have a student of Flaubert, Guy de Maupassant. Did I say that correctly?